In the middle of a remote, dense forest in Kazakhstan, where no one usually came or went, a beautiful young woman lived alone under a tree. One evening, as she sat on the grass beneath the tree, she saw a wise old Hakim, healer monk, walking by. The girl had been alone for a long time, and now her patience had finally broken. As soon as she saw the Hakim, she slightly lifted the edge of her salwar and dramatically began shouting loudly, "Help! Help!" The Hakim quickly ran to her and asked, "What happened? What's wrong with you?" The girl looked restlessly at the Hakim and said, "Please look, my leg hurts a lot." The Hakim replied, "Well, I'm a Hakim. Don't worry, I'll check right now." And the moment the Hakim touched her foot, the girl felt a strange sense of peace. She kept looking at the Hakim's face, as if she wanted something more. The Hakim pressed her leg for a moment and said, "There's nothing wrong with your foot. It's perfectly fine." The girl said, "Yes, I know that too. I lied just to get you to come to me." The Hakim asked, "But why?" The girl said, "I'm a young woman. I've been alone for a long time. I can't bear it anymore. Please stay the night with me here." The Hakim got angry and started walking away. The girl stepped forward, held his hand, and said, "No, I won't let you go like this. I've been waiting for you for so long, you have to stay with me." The Hakim couldn't understand what this young woman wanted with an old man like him, but when he looked at her face, he felt a strange peace. He became drawn to her and slowly moved closer, trying to see her clearly. But due to his weak eyesight, he couldn't make out her face properly. The girl asked, "Why are you looking at me like that?" The Hakim said, "I can't see your face clearly, but when I come near you, I feel a sense of familiarity." A hint of happiness appeared on the girl's face, as if she was succeeding in her intent. As they spoke, night fell in the forest. Darkness descended. The girl said to the Hakim, "Now you'll stay with me, right?" The Hakim stayed silent for a while, then said, "In this dark forest, where will I even go at night? Let's just spend the night here." The girl smiled inwardly, as if her arrow had hit the target. She and the Hakim sat down on the grass beneath the tree. The girl said, "I sleep right here on the grass. Will you sleep too?" The Hakim replied, "I'll sleep wherever you give me space." A peaceful glow appeared on the girl's face. She said, "Let's both lie down here on the grass and sleep." Both the girl and the Hakim lay down on the grass beneath the tree. The Hakim's eyes closed. He fell asleep, but the girl couldn't sleep. She kept looking at the Hakim with eyes full of love. Then she said to herself, "He won't give in so easily. I'll have to win his heart slowly. In the morning I won't let him go. No matter what, I must stop him." Morning came. The Hakim woke up and began to leave. The girl got up too, walked up to him and said, "Where are you going?" "Stay with me. Look at my face. Don't you see anything in it at all?" Hakim Darvesh looked at the girl's face as if someone had knocked on the door of his soul. But due to his weak eyesight, he couldn't see her face properly. Hakim Darvesh said, "I'm leaving now. I have work to do." When the girl realized that Hakim wasn't responding to her words, she said, "All right, wait a minute, I'll be right back. Don't move from here." Then the girl ran quickly into the jungle and stood under a mango tree. She plucked 2 mangoes from the tree and then suddenly shouted loudly. After that, she laid on beneath the tree with her eyes closed. Hakim Darvesh, hearing her scream, immediately ran toward her. When he reached the tree, he saw the girl lying unconscious on the ground. The Darvesh sat down beside her. He shook her gently, but the girl kept her eyes shut, pretending. Then Hakim held her hand and rubbed it. Still, the girl didn't open her eyes and started feeling happy inside. Hakim quickly ran to the river, scooped some water in his hands, and sprinkled it on her face. When the girl realized she couldn't pretend any longer, she slowly opened her eyes as if she had truly fainted. Hakim Darvesh looked into her face as if he wanted to say something to her, but he couldn't. Before he could ask anything, the girl stood up and wrapped her arms around his neck. Hakim tried to pull away, but he couldn't. The Darvish felt a sense of closeness from the girl. Hakim stepped back and said, "What is all this? How did you faint like that?" The girl replied, "I came to pick mangoes for you. I fell down and fainted here." Hakim Darvesh said, "All right. Now let me go." The girl, distressed, came closer and said, "You can't see me clearly with your eyes, but can't you feel me either?" Hakim Darvesh said, "I don't know why, but when you come near me, I feel a sense of familiarity." The girl smiled a little. She returned with the mangoes she had picked and came back under the tree where she stayed. The girl and Hakim sat under the tree and ate a mango each. By then, it had become evening. They were sitting on the grass beneath the tree. Suddenly, the girl said to Hakim Darvesh, "Stretch out your legs." Hakim Darvesh asked in surprise, "Why?" The girl said, "Nothing." Hakim Darvesh stretched his legs. Then the girl started massaging his feet. Hakim said, "What are you doing?" The girl replied, "You're tired." "So I'm massaging your feet." Then suddenly the girl got up and ran toward the river. She filled a clay cup with water and returned, coming very close to Hakim and offering him the water. Hakim drank the water, and as soon as he did, he began to feel sleepy. He fell asleep. Night had come. The girl sat beside him, watching him. Then she came closer, placed her hand on his forehead with love, and began massaging his head. Suddenly, Hakim's eyes opened. The girl lay down on the grass and fell asleep. Morning came. Hakim Darvesh came to the girl and said, "I don't feel like leaving you. You are very kind. You have taken great care of me, but now I must go." The girl said, "Are you really going to leave me alone now?" Hakim Darvesh said, "I have to go. If not today, then tomorrow." The girl came close to Hakim, looked into his eyes and said, "Today, stay with me a little longer. I can't bear it anymore. I want to spend time with you." Hakim said, "What do you mean by that?" Suddenly, the girl grabbed Hakim's hand and started leading him into the deep forest. While walking, Hakim Darvesh asked, "Where are you taking me through all these bushes and trees?" The girl replied, "Don't you want to know what I really want? I would have told you everything before, but I've been too scared. I didn't have the courage to tell you the truth. But I can't wait anymore." Hakim Darvesh listened, surprised. The girl led him deep through trees and shrubs to a lonely place where there was nothing but trees all around. Hakim Darvesh silently watched the surroundings. The girl pointed to a small hut made of cloth in the distance and said, "You have to come with me into this hut." Hakim Darvesh looked at the hut, and he felt as if he had been there before. But he remained silent. Hakim said, "Why have you brought me to this lonely place, to this hut?" The girl said, "The time has come. The time I've been waiting for. I won't let you go away from me anymore." Hakim Darvesh said, "Why are you saying these things? Why are you asking me to enter the hut?" The girl replied, "Come with me to the hut. You'll know everything once we're inside." As Hakim Darvesh heard her words and looked at the hut he had once visited, a stir rose in his heart. He got angry and started walking away. The girl ran after him and said, "I know you've been to this place before, and I know the girl you came here with." Hearing that, Darvesh was stunned. He stopped right there and looked at her and said, "Who told you that I came here?" But his words betrayed his expression. The girl stepped closer and said, "My intention is not to anger you. I don't want to be far from you. I want to be close." Hakim Darvesh started walking again, and the girl walked beside him. Then they reached the tree where they had sat before. It was night, and the darkness had thickened. Darvesh said to the girl, All right, now I'm leaving. I can't stay here anymore. The girl came close, held his hand, and said, "So late at night in this lonely jungle. Where will you go? It's so dark." Hakim Darvesh said, "I don't know what your true intentions are, but from your words and your presence, I feel something familiar, something close." A bit of peace appeared on the girl's face. She said, "I can do anything for you, as long as you're happy with me." Hakim Darvesh said, "All right then. Tonight, I'll stay here." Hakim lay down on the grass beneath the tree. Soon he started to fall asleep, and then he slept. The girl sat up once and looked at his face, as if peace had finally come to her. Then she lay down again and fell asleep. Morning came. Hakim Darvesh was still sleeping. The girl quietly got up, slowly walked to the river, and began to shout loudly, "Is anyone there? Is anyone there?" Hakim Darvesh woke up when he saw that the girl was not lying beside him and a calling voice was coming from afar. He immediately ran toward the river. When he got there, he saw the girl standing in the river, her whole body soaked in water. Darvish said, "What are you doing there?" The girl replied, "I came to fetch water. I slipped. Help me out." Darvish reached out, pulled her hard by the hand, and brought her out of the river. The girl came out dripping wet. Hakim Darvish looked at her and said, "All right. I'm leaving now. Take care of yourself. I'm not going to listen to any more excuses." The girl came closer and said, "Do you still think of me as a stranger? If your vision was clear, if you could truly see me, you would never leave me." Hakim Darvesh once again felt that same familiar warmth in her words. He walked back and sat down under the same tree. The girl came to him and said, "Why didn't you come inside the hut with me? I worked so hard to bring you there. You ruined everything. Come on, let's go there today. I can't live without you anymore." Hakim Darvesh listened, but said nothing. Night fell. Hakim Darvesh lay down on the grass under the tree and fell asleep. The girl also lay there, but her eyes remained open. Lying silently, she spoke to herself. "It's getting harder to keep him here. He seems a little softer now. Maybe it's time I tell him exactly what I want. I can't stay scared forever, or he might just leave me behind. Tomorrow, I'll take him to the hut again. Maybe once we're there, his heart will melt." Thinking this, she finally fell asleep. Morning came. Both Hakim Darvesh and the girl woke up. Hakim started walking away from the forest again. The girl came to him and said, "Just come with me to that hut once. The one you walked away from before. After that, you may go wherever you want. I won't stop you." Hakim Darvesh said, "Why? What's in that hut? Why are you insisting so much on taking me there?" The girl replied, "I can't say it here. I'm afraid that once you know the truth, you might not accept me." Before Hakim could say anything, the girl took him again through the thick forest toward the cloth-made hut. Walking through bushes and trees, Darvish and the girl reached the hut. The girl held Hakim Darvish's hand and took him inside. Hakim Darvish was stunned. He wondered, what is happening? As soon as they entered the hut, the girl threw her arms around Hakim's neck and began to cry loudly. Hakim Darvesh pushed her away in anger and walked out of the hut. The girl ran after him and collapsed at his feet. For a moment, Hakim Darvesh felt something familiar in her voice, as if it echoed a known tune, as if an old door inside his heart had been gently knocked. But he pulled himself together. He stepped aside and began to walk away. The girl stood in front of him, grabbed his hand, and said, "Come with me, just once." She took him to a high earthen mound right in front of the hut. At the top of the mound, the girl stopped and said, "Now tell me, don't you remember this place?" Hakim Darvesh looked at that place deeply. For a moment, it felt as though time had rewound. Some old moment, some forgotten memory floated before his eyes. but he immediately changed the topic and said, "No, what is this place? Why did you bring me here?" The girl quietly came closer and softly said, "A few years ago, when you brought a girl inside the hut, you also brought her to this earthen mound." Hearing this, Hakim Darvesh was startled. His heart began to race. He started wondering, how does this girl know all this? No one else is supposed to know these things. He walked up to the girl, looked into her eyes, and said, "Who are you? Really? And how do you know all this?" The girl took a deep breath and said, "To know all that, you have to come inside the hut with me again. Only there will you learn the truth." Hakim Darvesh, annoyed, said, "What is actually in that hut? Why do you keep taking me there? And once we're inside, why do you start behaving strangely?" The girl slowly said, "I can't say everything here. I don't have that much courage. But inside that hut, there is something, a truth, that if you see, you might get someone back." Hakim Darvesh paused for a moment. Then silently he started walking behind her. The girl lifted the curtain of the hut, and both of them went inside. Hakim Darvesh asked, "Why did you bring me here?" "I came to this place years ago with my daughter. She used to love seeing the forest and all these trees and plants. I brought her here to show her around, in this hut. My daughter and I built it together." There were tears in the girl's eyes, and she was constantly doing something. Then the girl said, "There's one more thing left. Your daughter wrote both your name and hers inside this hut, and the hut was never removed, so that one day it might help someone." Hakim Darvesh was stunned after hearing this. He stepped closer to the girl and asked, "What did you just say?" Now, tears welled up in Hakim Darvesh's eyes. The puzzle was starting to unravel, piece by piece. Then the girl said, "And the girl you love so much, even after your constant warnings and endless pleading, she still ran away from home and married a stranger." Now there were tears in Hakim Darvesh's eyes, and he kept listening to everything. Then the girl continued, "Don't you want to know what happened to your daughter after that?" Hakim Darvesh, restless, went closer to the girl to listen. The girl went on, "Your daughter, despite turning away from you, ran away from home. But her husband didn't even keep her for 4 days. He pushed her out of the house. Then your daughter began to remember your words. She came back home crying, but there was no one there. People in the neighborhood said that ever since your daughter ran away, you never returned home again. You had been wandering door to door, searching for her, lost in her memory. Then your daughter came to know that you sometimes came to this forest to collect medicinal plants. So she built herself a shelter under a tree in a quiet corner of the forest, and every day she waited there for you." At that moment, Darvish's heart was in torment. He had understood everything. Still, in a trembling voice, he asked the girl, "Then what happened to my daughter?" The girl said, "Finally, one evening when your daughter was sitting on the grass under the tree, she saw you walking by. As soon as she saw you, she pretended to cry out, 'Help! Help!' just to call you near." Then Hakim Darvesh said, "Come on now, are you trying to take the life out of me?" Then Hakim Darvesh wrapped the girl, his daughter, in his arms. And in this way, after many days, a father and his daughter were reunited. Joy was now visible on both their faces. There was no limit to their happiness. Then the father said to his daughter, "All of this is fine, but why didn't you come to me and tell me clearly that you were my daughter? My vision had weakened, but you could still see me." The girl replied, "After the way I broke your heart and left home with a stranger, how could I face you again? Every day I wanted to tell you the truth, but I didn't have the courage. So I spent some time with you, hoping that gradually I could come closer to you and help heal the wound I gave your heart. The father hugged his daughter joyfully, and after that both of them returned home like before and began to live a happy life again. This story is not just about the reunion of a father and his daughter. Rather, it teaches us that this daughter, who ignored her father's repeated advice and ran away from home, eventually faced the bitter truth of life and came to realize that there is no safer shelter than the shade of a father. If she had come to her father earlier and told him the truth, perhaps she wouldn't have had to endure so much pain, so much loneliness, and so many trials. Because a father like Hakim Darvesh, who had endless love for his daughter in his heart, might have gotten angry for a moment, but he surely would have accepted her. But the girl, slowly and silently, won back her place in her father's heart. Sometimes she pleaded for her life through lies. Sometimes with innocence, she placed him in her world. And finally, she took him to that hut where their memories lived. There, she revealed her identity as his daughter. Friends, today's story ends here. Where are you watching this video from? And what's your name?